Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to today's video, which is just a quick roundup of some of the news stories that have caught my eye over the last 7 days from the world of Formula One. Now, obviously, the sport is in the middle of its summer break, so things are a little bit quiet, which isn't great, but there are the stories out there if you know where to look and do a little bit of digging, and we are going to start with Honda and their pride in the fact that they have just reached the levels of performance they expected from their 2017 power unit in pre-season testing. That is some 5 months ago. And yet it's that little twinge of pride in that milestone they also show. The Honda boss said it is difficult for me to say it's satisfying, rightly so. Maybe the current level of performance is what we had to achieve at the beginning of the season. So for me, I'm thinking, are you ready for this? At least we can achieve the level of performance we should have been at in Barcelona. Congratulations. You're 5 months behind the rest of the field and you're actually, I think that does sound like they're a little bit proud of the fact they've finally reached that milestone, but actually should be utterly humiliated. The Japanese engine manufacturer has also made strides in terms of performance and reliability, but they are also unsure as to which parts to put on the car because of reliability issues, performance issues. They're not entirely sure which route to go down. They're also concerned about whether or not they're going to match up to the rest of the field with those upgrades. Now that just shows I don't think they've got a clue. I think they literally are just looking at this engine and going, we need to fix it, we need to sort it, throwing things at it and then going, but that might not work. And it's like they're panicking and they just need to just chill, just calm down. The season's gone. There's nothing they can do about that. They have already said that they're planning to stick with their current concept into 2018 and are already running R&D parallel to further 2017 development, which is good to hear. What that also kind of confirms is that Honda in some way will be involved in the sport in 2018. Now, whether that will be McLaren or not, I don't know. Probably. It's looking more and more likely that McLaren will stay with Honda. But there is also that rumour out there about Toro Rosso, which I actually think there's more to that than just rumour. There is talk that Toro Rosso will get a Honda engine for next year. That would be brilliant. I think that'd be brilliant for Red Bull. They're desperate to have that work supply that they had with Renault effectively back in their dominant 4 years. They'd love to get a Honda engine on board. And if they put it with Toro Rosso and then they can monitor it really, really closely and they see what they need to see and Honda are doing what Red Bull need them to do, maybe in a couple of years' time we're looking at Red Bull, Honda and that work deal and possibly Red Bull back to the front of the grid if, massive if, Honda can get their act together. I have to defend Honda to an extent. I think a lot of us would agree on that, and that is that they came into the sport a year too early. Originally, they weren't supposed to enter Formula One until 2016, but pressure from McLaren, Ron Dennis, F1 kind of forced their hand to enter the sport in 2015, a year too early. So they weren't ready at that point. They were already on the back foot. Add to that the ridiculous token system that Formula One threw at engines for 2015. They couldn't upgrade the engine well enough, and that was that. They were kind of doomed from the outset. So I do feel for Honda, but they seriously need to get their act together. And whether that's going to be a future with McLaren, Toro Rosso, Red Bull, I don't know. But we need Honda in the sport. Formula One needs it, especially with everyone now turning to Formula E. But they need to sort this out as quickly as possible. Now, Renault, a lot of people are expecting Robert Kubica to be in that seat alongside Nico Hülkenberg next season. However, interestingly enough, Renault have thrown another name into the mix for 2018. And that, almost unbelievably, is Jolyon Palmer. The French outfit have not slammed the door shut on his career post-2017 and have all but confirmed he will see out at least the rest of the season, putting to bed rumours, of course, that Robert Kubica will return to action for Belgium. In a baffling interview, the Renault boss said, frankly, if he manages to turn around the situation, which he did last year, we are completely open to a future between the team and Joe for one more season. He went on about consistency and how that's what Renault need at the moment, and he said things could go his way, but at the end of the day, that's in his hands. So I just take a moment to read this next bit without laughing. We've seen very good things with Joe, both during the winter tests, during the season, and during a session. Short of examples, understandably, because I'd like to know where. But anyway, and also mentioning winter testing there, maybe they need to do some kind of deal to get Palmer to Honda, because obviously winter testing is where it all matters all of a sudden. I don't know. Surely he's joking. I mean, come on. Given that, in my opinion, the guy shouldn't have even kept his seat at the end of 2016 for 2017, what the hell are they thinking about even discussing keeping him for 2018? Yes, he has had problems with reliability, and that is not his fault. That is just bad luck. It's the way it goes. But the fact he is consistently outpaced by Nico Hülkenberg in qualifying and races is reason enough for them to look elsewhere and give him the boot. But add to that the poor decision making, the spins, the crashes. I just can't see any reason to give him a seat for 2018, especially when you consider, as unlikely as it is, Fernando Alonso is out of contract, Robert Kubica is itching for a comeback, and potential rookies Oliver Rowland and Nicholas Latifi are desperate for a chance. Why would you bother with Palmer? It's not like they're out of options. I think it's absolutely crazy. And if they give him him another chance. I don't know. Let's just move on. Liberty Media boss Chase Carey has had his say on F1's future and believes that cost-cutting measures must be put in place to help make it for a competitive field of teams, and that introducing standardized parts could be an option on the table. I'm not going to lie, guys, when I first read that, I was a little bit concerned because I thought we were going to finally see the prediction of Adrian Newey coming true, and that's that Formula One would effectively become GP1 and would just all be standardized, same cars, and it would not be Formula One. But Chase Carey has gone on to say that they're not looking to standardize a car, but they are instead looking at ways to reduce costs without damaging the show. So I think they're looking at things like maybe suspension components, something around the brakes. In fact, Zach Brown himself from McLaren said that they're looking at standardizing parts that don't improve the show and that fans won't recognize the difference. That's probably the best way to do it. There needs to be some kind of cost cutting, capping. Maybe not. I think it'd be a bit unfair to cap, if you're Mercedes and Ferrari and you're making a lot of money from your road car business that you want to pour into Formula One, that's up to you. That's your money. You should be allowed to do that. But certainly if there are ways to bring the cost down in the midfield and at the back of the grid, it's definitely the right thing to do. To kind of put it into context as to why that's important, Ferrari last year spent an estimated £330 million, whereas Force India spent 90 million and Sauber 95 million. That is a massive gap. And there's just absolutely no wonder why there is such a massive gap in terms of team performance. They need to do something. It's spiraling out of control. First things first, though, this isn't an issue that is raised for 2017 and 2018 onwards. This is something that's been going on in Formula One for decades. The teams with the most money spend the most money. That's fine if they've got the money, but if there's a way to make it cheaper for the midfield, it's a massive bonus. But at the moment, Liberty Media are just in preliminary discussions with other teams regarding the matter. But we shall see if any kind of cost cutting or capping comes in, because of course Ferrari, as well as having the most money and getting their fantastic historical payments, they also have their massive amount of power, their stupidly large amount of power to wield over the world of Formula One, especially when they've got their veto. So whether or not it will happen, I don't know. Ferrari will obviously have the final say on that. And there's also been talk this last couple of days as well that a return to V8 power in the future would be the wrong call for F1. And I'm going to leave that right out there because I am not going to get on a rant on that one. And finally, I'm going to end on what is effectively a rumour now. It was reported before the Hungarian Grand Prix that Ferrari offered Sebastian Vettel a 3-year big money contract and that the deal would be announced at Monza. However, according to a Finnish newspaper, the 4-time world champion is not in agreement with Ferrari over the length of this proposed new contract. The paper claims that the German only wants to sign a 1-year deal in a bid to keep his options open for 2019. And obviously with the uncertainty over Lewis Hamilton's future after his contract expires, there are also rumours that Vettel has signed a pre-contract agreement with the Silver Arrows. Now, this is just a rumour, and it is unlikely to be completely true, but could it mean a swap between Vettel and Hamilton for 2019? I think it's unlikely. I mean, it's not impossible. It's definitely something that's out there, but Lewis Hamilton had his say earlier in the season, and he did say, there's no other team except for Ferrari that could ever be interesting, but right now, I love being here. However, as much as that fuels that fire, he also did say that if I was to jump ship from here, that would be when I stop. So from Hamilton, it's definitely a no at the moment. If I'm being honest, I don't see it happening yet. I think with the Concord agreement coming in 2020, that's already been negotiated. And obviously the negotiations going on for the change in engine formula for 2021 onwards. Any driver choosing to switch teams 2019, 2020 at the top end of the grid, Fernando Alonso aside, because he needs to get into a car one way or another very, very soon. I think that would be silly because it's all right saying, let's put Hamilton in Ferrari. Vettel goes, I want to go to Mercedes. They've got the best engine. But if they then change the engine formula in 2021 and Mercedes end up as the 4th fastest car, that decision was completely stupid. So I don't see anything happening with regards to Vettel leaving Ferrari before 2021. That's my neck on the line once again. And so therefore I am going to leave it right there before I go and cause myself any more grief. That is it for today's video. Just a short one, like I say, on the news. Obviously Formula One is back in a couple of weeks' time, so the news is going to be a bit more interesting, a bit more exciting, and a lot more going on. And of course F1 2017, the game, is out a week on Friday. Stupidly excited about that. Debating a live stream, guys. Let me know in the comments. Would you like me to live stream F1 2017 on launch night from midnight? Of course, it would not be career mode episode 1 because that'll be done later in the day on launch day, but maybe a first impressions video at midnight. Let me know what you think, guys, in the comments. It's entirely up to you guys. If you're up for that, then I'll do it. If nobody's interested, then obviously I'll just go to bed, which is absolutely fine. But as ever, guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been Sean. This has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.